Hey everyone, it's Jason again. As you may notice, this is not a picture of the Clash of Eternia. This is the Fields of Eternia. This is a different Masters of the Universe board game. So this video, I'm going to kind of do a brief overview of what this is. Now, I don't own this game, and the reason for that is it is a UK exclusive game. So if I wanted to order it, I'd have to order it from the UK, pay probably extra shipping for it, and I'd have to do more research into it if I want to do that, especially since I own this game. But that's why I kind of want to go over this as a brief thing. You can go to their GameFound and look this up on there, or it's Archon Studios down here at the bottom corner, ARCHON Studios. And you look up like the rule book and see some of it. So this game came out in GameFound, I think like either right before Clash of Eternia or a few months earlier. Because like I saw, I'm like, oh cool, a He-Man game. I knew one was coming, and I started looking at this, and I saw, oh, it's not shipping to America. That's weird. And then I saw there was an announcement for Clash of Eternia, which is the American-only one that didn't ship there. So they're done by two different companies. Obviously, this is Archon Studios. The other one's Simon. They're very different types of games as well. If you watched my other Masters Universe Clash of Eternia games, it is very much a brawler game, a fighting game. Each player picks a side. There are scenarios you have to do. Maybe your goal is to knock out more players. Maybe it's to try and get an objective. But while you're trying to get objectives or rescue someone, or survive a certain time, or do something, you are still you're in direct combat with everybody. That's the whole point. You're rolling dice, trying to do attacks, move around, to strategize. This is more of a story-based strategy game. So I just have pictures from the GameFound site. So I'm gonna kind of look at it, and I did kind of go through the rule book, so I got a little bit of understanding, but I didn't read all of it because obviously I don't own it. But this is a base overview of like the map. So as you can see, instead of having like grid-based, you have your main characters, you have little minion troopers, and you're going to move around to different areas of Eternia. So it's a very different style game. So here are the master characters that come in the base set. Now, the rendered models and what they actually look like could be very different. These look really cool. That might be one reason. I don't know the base sizes of them, unfortunately. I didn't see that direct information. I forgot to look it up before this video. So I don't know what they're comparison to the Masters game. Because, I mean, if they're about the same size, it might be worth some people to pick them up just to get some alternate sculpts for the characters. But then, of course, there's an Evo side. So you're getting basically the same 6 characters in either box set. But it makes sense. This IP has X number of characters that are in most episodes. But then here's some of the cards that you get. So you get these fantastic artwork on these is incredible. It looks like it's lifted from the old like comic book and covers and stuff. But you can see they have a little bit more information. I do have a closer up picture here coming up. So we'll take a look at that. But then here's some of the other cards that are in here. And this is just to show that there's a lot more components. So like in Clash of Eternia, you have your main character card. And if you're a player, you have 3 skill cards. And you have your activation cards. Fairly simple. You play the cards down, they're there. And then same thing, the controller, you get your activation cards. AI has an AI card. That's it. There's not a ton of extra other mechanics and stuff. There's vehicle cards. There's encounter cards. There are allies. There's encounters that are beasts. There's encounter cards that are event cards. There's bosses. There's equipment cards. You can boost up your characters. There's epic beast cards, which are, I believe, linked to the scenario. So there's some for like this Fracture in Time scenario, some for the Evil Seed scenario. So there's different stories you can play through. Spell cards, victory cards, solo cards. There's a whole entire battle system, which is played differently. So there's a lot more mechanics going on in this game. Here's all the different tokens and stuff. Damage tokens, victory tokens, quest tokens, bunch of weapon tokens. So yeah, a lot of different things going on here. So here's just kind of a little overview of what you can do in the game. Again, this is lifted right from their game found page. So if you want to take more time to read over all this, feel free to check that out. But you can play with friends or solo. So yeah, it shares a similarity with the Clash. Is that you can play with other people. But yeah, so like here, just like story mode, there are 4 difficulty levels you can choose from to flex your tactical and strategic skills. However, to move for a quick game, you can cross swords in a skirmish. And then strategy is the key. So besides the heroes, you have up to 15 soldiers spreading your troops across the area. Trade with heroes, visit merchants, forward purchase gears. So yeah, it's not just move towards enemy attack. You have to like manipulate multiple things on the board. You can gear up your characters by getting weapons, mounts, vehicles, stuff like that. So that's kind of cool also because it adds some of the other iconic elements in the game. There's also other allies and stuff too you can get. I think that's the next picture. There's exploration. So unexpected events, storyline quests, unique plots. Contains decks with scenarios, epic beasts, and encounter cards. Each victory will make you stronger. So you're like going to these areas, and then it probably tells you what card to draw or what you're doing, or trading with people, picking up different cards. You interact with different Eternians. So this is again where they get lots of the other characters. Some may become your allies and help you. Some might perform duels. So they have a lot more stats on here. They're all called hero bonus. I don't know how you get these. But like up in the top corner here, they do have symbols that show like what teams you're with. So that kind of helps determine which one. But they have, stats on them. All this different stuff. Here's one picture of the battle. One side plays cards down on one of these 3 stats: attack, defense, or evasiveness. Then the other one opponent plays stuff on there, and that's how you combine. So you have to assemble a deck, choose your tactics, outsmart your foes, double up chances. I do go a little bit more that way. And then there's victory cards. I'm going to kind of skip that. But here's a gameplay map. So this is the other thing I wanted to show. Like I was saying, there's a lot of stuff going on. There is a lot of stuff going on this board. It's nothing wrong with that. That's the type of game you want to play, but just showing that it's a very completely different game than Clash. So if you are looking for, just the straight up battle system was too simple for you, or there just wasn't enough story, this might be the game you're looking for. Because you're gonna get like one of your 3 heroes over here, or 3 on the other side. You have a bunch of different, victory cards, quest cards, item cards, ally cards. Combat decks, a store of some sort down here, a big giant map to go through with all of Eternia. Here's a breakdown of the hero just to show how different they very much are. Because the other ones are basically, hey, here's your character. You have health or defense, great, and then they have, their skills, and that's it. It's pretty cut and dry. This you have up at the top. You have 5 skills: hit points, mind, body, initiative, movement. You have a fraction symbol below your team. You have 2 different types of abilities. You have a special ability. And these ones here can change different stats depending on how you decide to attack with and do stuff. So it's a lot more going on. And like here's some of the examples of combat, and I'm not going to read through all of this, of course. But it starts off basically like each player chooses which type of attack they want to use. So like Tila here is using a sword, she's using the weapon token, and Evelyn is using magic, so then she chooses that one. And that's kind of a thing they did use that special ability on their card. Then you draw multiple cards, you decide you want the 1 or 2, then which slot you want to put it in. So then going through, so at the end, your board will start to look like this. So like in her melee, she has ×3. She has a special skill of ×2, ×2 and 3. And at the end, you do some other different abilities and special effects on the cards, and you tally all them different stats up. A base number plus how many extra multiplications you have. And stuff like this. I think they changed this at one point from that being times to plus, because that plusing a multiplication seems weird. But yeah, so you went through all of that stuff to play all these different cards and all this. And it says here, Tila wins the initiative, causing Evelyn to lose 1 HP. So it's a lot of combat to do 1 HP versus when you're playing like Clash. It's like, I roll a die. Oh, I rolled 2 swords. I do 2 damage. Very simple. So you're going to get a lot more strategy out of this because you have to decide what your opponent's doing. You can see them playing cards down. You decide where you want to go, but there's a lot more to it. Sorry, my voice is going. This is a example of one of the scenarios, so I just kind of wanted to show off that. So it's saying you have 2 teams, number, scenario, rules, how you do stuff. This is the main areas you're using. They're like during the startup, so good guys can start anywhere in here, bad guys can start anywhere. I'm assuming that after the game starts, you can go wherever you want. But it's going to show you where to put quest tokens, all this. And then this entire game, it's just do this different stuff to gain 6 victory points. So it's like there's a lot of stuff in the Clash. Those are the same type of scenarios. You do this, do that. You're just trying to gain victory points by defeating so many characters or collecting objectives. This has a very similar thing. But then we have a different scenario. There's a lot more setup in here. Specifies as what fraction. There's a good setup. Special rules, quest, clues, prizes, all this stuff. And then, like, here's the map, like the starting zones. So when you pull these quest tokens on these specific spots, evil guys start there, heroic characters start here, special skull events. And so there's a lot more going on for the setup as well. Again, this one, you drop down like, 6, 7 different things, drop down a bunch of tokens, boom, you're ready to go. This one looks like it's going to have a little bit more setup to it, but again, it's a heftier story-based game. There were expansions as well. I think some of these might have been exclusive. I don't remember. But yeah, you can get like the Snake Man expansion. You get 6 new Snake Men, plus their little minion characters. And then each expansion came with a few more cards. You got a couple more allies, a couple more encounters and stuff. But it's also to note, like, that in this expansion, like, if you want Roboto, who's like a very popular character, but he's not a Snake adjacent character necessarily, you have to buy this expansion to get that. And then, like, down here at the very bottom, there's extra scenarios and more stuff. Because some of the cards, I think, just get mixed in, like, the encounters and equipment. Some of these epic beasts might be used only for specific modes. But, yeah, this is a in-progress rulebook I looked at. So some of these backs might just be generic backs. Then, of course, there's a Horde expansion. So we got all the different Horde characters. These guys do look pretty epic. Again, like this, we got 2 vehicles, 8 allies. But, like, there are cyclones in that one. Some different encounters, just a few cards. Then there was a bunch of unlockables as well, just like Clash was. So not nearly as many. There's only 14 of them. Plus you could buy Orko separate, and there's a Grayskull Dice Tower. So it's also interesting to note, just showing off this, is that Clash has every single one of these characters with the 2 exceptions, are these bottom 2, Hero 2 and Queen Grayskull. Those are the only 2 characters that are exclusive to this one that aren't in the other one. But in Clash, we get the whole She-Ra expansion, plus the Kickstarter exclusive stuff had 19 heroes and 19 villain miniatures. So it's, just about 38 characters? So yeah, versus 14. And then each box even had like 6 or 7 characters, so they had some more guys as well. So you got a lot more characters in that. These guys might look kind of cool, but you're not getting nearly as many of them. Another big thing to mention with the Fields of Eternia set is they've already announced a new expansion. I don't know when it's going to come or how it's going to work, because they can say what they want on here, but whether it's actually there. But that's cool, because Clash of Eternia, as far as I know, has not announced, it doesn't announce any expansion, although it's literally just releasing, and people are just starting to get, it's just starting to hit retail, and when it does hit retail, I don't know if all of the expansions, the She-Ra and the Horde and the Grayskull are all going to come out immediately into retail, or if they will do Clash first and then those might dribble out over the next year. So even if that's the case, it might be another year or two before I do it. And if it's following CMON's schedule, like looking at games like Zombicide or like Marvel United, it's usually been about a little over about a year and a half before they add more content. Which I think, yeah, about 2 years between each Kickstarter is what it ends up being. Just because they have to give time for the first one to finish, be out in public for a while to get the game out, and then they start the next one. But those games, they also, like Marvel, they released 14 expansions. So it's like, I can see them not putting necessarily more out into public right away. But like Zombicide, like the older ones, they usually released a bunch of content as well. But when we got the new one, second edition, they only released the 2 expansions right away. Now they've released a 3rd expansion direct to retail, which can go to Kickstarter. So because they released less content, maybe they might. But this is also an IP, and that runs into that issue of some of the other IP games like Marvel or Turtles or Batman or any of that stuff. Like when they make these board games, is that they might not have the licensing to do more than what they came out with. So who knows if they're going to make more Clash stuff. It would be definitely cool. But it's also one thing to see when they release so much content. What are they going to put in the second season? Or second year if they make more stuff or add more things. So, but it's just to point out, Fields of Eternia does have at least an expansion planned. Alright, so then the next thing I want to point out is not even Fields of Eternia, it's also by Akron Studios, it's Battlegrounds. So this is another game they mentioned back in, on their website here, it mentions April of 2022, and it's supposed to be delivering by December of that year. So this is right at their website, but I haven't, so there wasn't like, you can go to their website and look it up. But this is more like Clash. It's a miniature-based combat game. So you can see a lot more simulators. There's a bunch of hex tiles on there. There's some terrain to go around. A lot less cards, a lot less stuff on the field. So this one is more of a comparison. So here's a character card, for example. You have He-Man. He has two different abilities. He has an equipment card, and he has some smaller extra item cards you can give him. But he still does have a lot of different stats on here. He has, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 different stats on there. There's a bunch of extra different symbols. So there's a lot more still going on than Clash for what's on here. Because you're building a character versus the other one, you're just unlocking their Clash, you're just unlocking their skills. You get a couple of options, so it's just be kind of quick and fast-paced. This year, I think it's more a little bit RPG-ish. Here's like a closer up on some of the terrain. The terrain is lots of 3D terrain. It looks a lot cooler. Has, a lot more details. You climb up on top of stuff, which is really neat. But there's a big downfall to this. They have pre-planned maps. So yes, although technically you could argue yes, so does Clash because its scenarios have them. These ones have these sitting out here as well. So it's like, yeah, there's all these ruins, but that looks like that's all there is. From what we can tell in these scenarios, is there's ruins. There's no forests or cliffs or rocks or water or different, at least from the pictures I've seen. They haven't shown any different elemental stuff. It's just literally things to fight around. So there's a difference in there as well. And that's the last thing I have for that. So I just wanted to show off the difference in case people had heard about Fields, or if you're looking up this game and you see Fields or Battlegrounds. Those are the difference from Clash. Without having deep dive into either of them, I still think Clash is probably more of, I want to say not that it doesn't have strategy, but it's probably more of the casual gamer. This one probably isn't too bad either, Battlegrounds. It might add some neat stuff, having some more references to the show, like the Clash doesn't have, but that's also something Clash could add in the future. They've shown with the Assault on Castle Grayskull that you can add equipment cards, because they did that to give each team access to like the tunnels or the shield cards. So there's no reason why they couldn't add an additional expansion down the line that adds other equipment that characters can use, one-time use items, or buffs or something like, hey, give this item, it doesn't attack boost, then it goes away. Or giving them extra weapons, so like, hey, He-Man doesn't have a ranged attack, or Adrenaline, give him a laser pistol, or give, Clamp Champ a laser pistol, he doesn't have any ranged. Or giving other people like web guns or stun guns, things like that, or ways to heal, like quick antidote to cure a poison or a condition really quick for like a one cost. There's things that could definitely add. But yeah, that's what we have for this. I just kind of want to show them off so you guys had some idea if you've heard of these other games. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.